All right, well, hi everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Mariano's Meetups. This is the best one yet. It's Wine Wednesday with Belinda Chang and special guest Erin Byrne from 312 Food. We also have Sarah here from Mariano's, who's always here, navigating and helping organize the events and moderating tonight. We also have Mariah Colbert, who's our cheese specialist for Mariano's, and she's amazing. She's our cheese guru, and we always go to her with our questions, and she always brings new and exciting things to us at the store, so we're super excited to have her. And from Cypress Grove, we have Megan Colombo, who's going to be here to talk to us about the delicious Humboldt Fog. If it's something you have not tried, you need to ASAP because it is iconic and there's so many people that love it. And we're going to cut a really big wheel of it today. So we're pumped about that. But Mariano's Meetups is a place for us all to meet virtually. We established this platform when the pandemic started while we're taking sheltering in place and social distancing very seriously to beat this pandemic. And we've been having a great time with wine tastings, cooking classes, kids events. The only thing we ask is that you be nice in the comment bar, which is like in the middle of the screen there. Belinda loves questions about the wine she's going to taste through. Erin will have questions. Mariah and Megan will take cheese questions. We'll pretty much answer anything you have to know, you want to know. But we just ask that you be kind. You also must be 21 and over. So if you're not, this might not be the place for you. I know Mariah has some kids running around, but you know, they're used to it probably.
And they're not drinking, right? They're not drinking.
No. But we're excited to learn about these two wines that Belinda selected tonight. And we're excited to taste them with the wines and build a wine board. Build a wine board. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. We'll build a wine board.
That sounds great.
I know. I'm like, why are we not doing that all the time? We'll build our cheese boards. And everyone is encouraged, if you're at home and you don't have the stuff we have, that's cool. Dig in your fridge and create something, for you to nosh on. So we're going to get started with Belinda telling us about the first wine.
Hi. So my name is Belinda Chang, and the last 9 weeks have been so awful and also so much fun because I get to hang out with all of you and thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of other people from all over the world and talk about wine all day, every day. So we're doing cheese and wine today, which I think is a really interesting thing because people always think that cheese and wine and all cheeses and all wines are going to go together. When's the last time you went to a wine and cheese party? Well, it was definitely more than 9 weeks ago, but it's a really common and popular and wonderful way to entertain. I feel like it's a lot easier than throwing a full-on dinner party, and you all get a great excuse to try different wines together and have a little snack so that you don't turn red right away and you get to continue getting your drink on for a little longer because you've got a little something in your stomach. So a lot of people think that cheeses are always red wine friendly. I don't know about you, but a lot of times working in all the restaurants that I've worked in all over the world, when people finish their entree and they have a little bit of red wine left, they always think, you know what, let's order a cheese plate because that'll be a nice way to finish our red wine before we move on to sweets or to dessert. So I think that's maybe where that very sort of popular idea that red wine and cheese is the perfect thing came about. So I thought it'd be good for us to have a red first. And I also was responding to a journalist yesterday about sort of some of the top 10 misconceptions about wine and the worst wine advice you can get. So I wanted to share one of those things today because I think it's really important and also very interesting and important topic. So a lot of people think that if you spend a lot more on a bottle of wine, that wine is going to be better, more delicious, more age-worthy, but that's actually not the case. And you can take that from someone who's had $10,000 and $20,000 bottles in a previous life, not that I paid for, but that I opened for other people. And I find the most joy in finding something that's incredible value. So this wine, while it's available at Mariano's for $7.99, will trick all of your friends. So if you kind of cover up the bottle, pour it into a decanter, pour it into nice glasses, trust me, even your super wine geeky friends are gonna think that you spent a lot of money on this great red. So this is a wine, and I don't think we've had one together from this country yet in these Wine Wednesdays, is from Spain, from a region called Borsal, which is a very high elevation in the northeast of Spain. It's about 3 hours drive from Madrid, and you'll go in a lot of circles and higher and higher. So if you don't love elevation and driving on very precarious hilly drives, this is not the place to go, but you can still certainly drink the wine. And it's made from a grape called Garnacha. So Garnacha is also known as Grenache in France and in Australia and other parts of the world. And it's generally a thinner skinned grape that can act a little like Pinot Noir in some ways. Pinot Noir, which we love and is all red fruits and is thin skinned and doesn't have a lot of tannin. But in some ways, it also can act a little more like a Cabernet in that it has a lot more color. So we've been having a lot of fun taking a moment or a few moments before we dive into a glass of wine and sort of taking a peek at the color. So if you've purchased this Garnacha or you have a red wine, I'd invite everyone to kind of tilt the glass away from you and enjoy this wine with all of your senses, not just with taste and smell. So as I'm looking at this wine, it makes a beautiful circle in the glass, and there's a little pink on the outside towards the rim, which gives us a clue if we didn't know when we were in a blind tasting or in some kind of sommelier competition that this is a younger wine, because the pink tends to sort of fade away and can sometimes turn orange or to other colors. So this one's a little bit of a baby, so it's going to be a little fresher. And then we can also give it a little swirl in the glass if you've got your, pinky out and you're ready to do that sort of wine snobby geeky thing, and watch these legs go down the side of the glass. And these are a little dark, they're a little pigmented, and that's because we've got some sort of concentration in this wine. So we might expect a little more texture or deeper flavors. So now that we've really enjoyed what we see in the glass, in this glass of Borsal Garnacha, I'm gonna put my nose in. From all the flowers and the greens that we got last week, Amanda, I have all these fun aromas all over the place that I can see if I can find in the glass. So when I put my nose in this guy, I get a bit of pepper, like a black pepper, kind of pink peppercorn thing. I also get some kind of purple florals. I have a little bit of lavender behind me from last week. We had so much fun, and I get kind of a purple floral, maybe lavendery thing. And it's also a lot of red fruits. So I get kind of these bright red fruits, but I've got these dried cranberries from Mariano's that are going to go onto my cheese plate, and I get kind of like a dried cranberry craisin. Is that a real thing? Did I invent that? Ocean spray craisins? Is that trademarked? Anyway, I get kind of a red fruit.
But it's a good one.
Yeah, so I get a little craisin aroma in this wine too. So it's definitely got my mouth watering, and though I've had a few sips, I'm ready for the next sip. So the next part of this experience, of course, of drinking wine is to drink it and taste it. And whenever I taste, I like to swirl it all over all parts of my mouth. Probably as you would like to do if you were sort of a cheesemonger and cheese professional too. You want when you're eating or drinking to touch every sort of sensory part of your mouth to get the full experience. And this one is so bright and pretty, and it has a lot less tannin than a Cabernet Sauvignon. To me, this is a very crushable wine, especially since it's still a little chilly here in Chicago and the Midwest. This is like a little hug, but not a bear hug, just kind of a gentle hug. Maybe a double kiss, which we probably won't be doing anymore, but a really lovely sort of warm embrace. The other interesting thing here is this particular red wine has a good bit of alcohol. So if you like a little bang for your buck, wines can go from 9% alcohol and on up to close to 16. This one lists on the bottle that it's about 14.5%. So that lends itself to kind of some of the body and some of the richness of the wine. And I'm excited to try these with all of the cheeses. I suspect, and I don't know this for a fact because I haven't tried this with the Humboldt Fog, that style is not going to be the perfect match with this red wine, although you should always eat and drink whatever you love and put them together if you want. Do it, go for it. But I think that the Gouda, which is going to be like a little nutty and a little caramelly. It's going to be super fun with this Spanish red. I also think the cheddar is going to be fun with this Spanish red. And I'm not sure about the blue, the Cambissola, but we'll see. It's kind of like a fun game, like the day that we did the snacks and the wine pairing, where it's really fun to try things that you think are going to be incredible together.
Yeah.
And then maybe also some things that you think won't work. So we did the red first because that's the more common red wine pairing with cheese. And then we have a white wine today too. We chose the Cambria Chardonnay, which is from the Santa Maria region, appellation in the Central Coast, a little further south than Napa and a little closer to Los Angeles. So that'll be a fun, ripe style Chardonnay. So if you're ready to have that in your glass, I mean, go for it and sip it, but we're gonna talk about it kind of officially and give you all the notes on the appearance and the aromas and the flavors in a little bit. So that's wine number one. I hope those that have it are having fun drinking it, because I am. Do you like it, Amanda? Do you like the Borsal?
Intertwines. And when we did the floral class last week, I mean, I have my lavender right here, and it's true. Yeah. Like, you smell the lavender and taste this, it just brings it right out. It's nuts.
It's so really fun. I mean, wine is like all the best things. It's a great scented candle. It's like having the aromas from plants and fresh fruit and vegetables, and you get it all in a glass, which I think is so much fun. And the more time you take with it, especially really great wine, and yeah, it's $7.99, but this wine is pretty fantastic and quite sophisticated. You know, the more you kind of get out of it. So I love drinking wine. I mean, is anybody surprised by that? No. But I love it for many.
I think everyone here definitely agrees with you.
Thanks, Amanda. So the other thing that I think is really interesting is that it's dry.
And it's delicious, and we love it. We're going to move on to the cheese board making, so we're all going to participate. But I think one thing is, and I'm sure Mariah from our team would agree, there really isn't any wrong way to make a cheese board. It's things that you love. It might be things you have in the house. You can throw something together last minute. But we picked 4 different cheeses, so we're all going to take a turn. And now I'm going to introduce Erin Byrne from 312 Food, who's a great friend of the brand, and we've done events with her at the store with cheese. And she also is a local product expert, and we'll get into that a little later. But Erin, I'll let you say hi, and then you can get into the first cheese.
Sure. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Nice to meet you all. Amanda kind of led into this, but I really, really love local products. I love supporting local businesses. And so we do have a lot of local products on this board that I'm super excited about that we'll be talking about today. But just kind of a general piece of advice, when you shop at Mariano's, they have labels all around the store that say loyal to local. So if you're ever like trying to get your eye out for products around Mariano's, I always look for those labels. There's always really, really cool brands to try. And it's pretty easy to find them. So just something to keep in mind when you're shopping. This is the cheese I'm talking about today. It's Sartori Montemore cheddar. It is local to the Midwest. It's from Wisconsin. And it's a 4th generation family owned company. So I always think it's really cool to kind of learn a little bit of the history, especially when things are kind of passed down from generation to generation. So this cheese is really awesome. It's a cheddar, and it kind of has like, well, it says right here, Italian inspired cheddar that's nutty like Parmesan. So it's kind of based on like an Italian Parmigiana. It kind of has that flavor profile. It's really good, and that's the first cheese we'll be putting on the board.
How are you going to cut it? So and it's rectangle. Maybe
I was going to rip it. No, I'm just kidding. So I think we were talking about this yesterday, that the method of cutting it, the right method, is to go in rectangles like this, and then to also cut those rectangles in half. So I probably won't be the best at cutting it out of everybody who's doing it today, but that's kind of how I'm going to approach it.
Love it.
Let's also talk, and Mariah, this is a good question for you. So I literally have been making antipasto boards since I was born and was old enough to like roll salami, because that's what my grandparents used to do. But we had our family over every Sunday, and sometimes we actually didn't cut the cheese pieces. We like left them whole. So Mariah, is there like a right or wrong to leaving it in one piece, slicing it? Is Mariah still here?
Yeah, I think it's kind of to you for harder cheese.
Oh, there she is. We lost you a little bit. There, you're back. You're back.
My hello.
Oh, I think, Mariah, we may have lost you a little bit. So maybe Megan can answer if there's a right or wrong to like just leaving the cheeses in chunks or cutting them.
I am here.
Okay, I don't want to steal it from her, but I'll take it as like a virtual
I know, but I
baton.
think it's
I'll talk. So no, there is absolutely no right or wrong. The whole idea of cheese is really like community and enjoying yourself. And so if you feel like there are strict rules, well, that kind of sucks the enjoyment out of things. So for something like a cheddar, I would take the tip of my knife. You can do slices, and some cheddars will respond fine to that. They'll cut very smoothly. Others, as they're more aged, are going to take on more of a crumbly texture. And so I would take the tip of my knife, or if you have one of these little cheese servers, and just kind of like stick it in there and then twist and break off chunks. It creates like a really pretty like texture and presentation on a board. I've actually done it with a Gouda on my board. If I can tilt this without dropping it. Can you all
no, Megan's ahead of the game.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so that's a way to kind of like mix up the textures so that everything doesn't look like cookie cutter and perfect. Perfect is the enemy of enjoyment. So remember that.
That looks gorgeous. And I feel like we haven't even really started yet. Deb, who's on most of our calls, who I love because she's always smiling and amazing and always positive. She said that, yeah, use a wire cheese cutter, not to use a knife. But I don't know how many people have wire cheese cutters.
Yeah, on cheddar too, you can use that wire cheese cutter for everything. That's my question.
Yeah, can we use this for everything? We'll get to this. Megan?
We're ready to use it.
I know, not yet though. Now we're moving on to, so we talked about the sartori, which is a cheddar. Now, Belinda, you're gonna go into the Gouda, and I know Megan kind of touched on it, but tell us how you're doing your Gouda.
So mine is not local. It's from a very classic producer called Articos. So I'm so glad you chose this one for me, Amanda, because sometimes I get a little angry when people talk about newfangled wines and doing weird things. I really love sort of an old recipe that's been perfected. And if you think about wine and cheese as products, these are things that have been made for centuries and centuries. So people have really figured out how to make them the most delicious. So this particular producer is a real OG, and Gouda or Gouda, potato, has been made since the 1100s. So this recipe is pretty damn awesome. It's a cow's milk cheese. You've seen it. It's sort of usually wrapped in red wax, but there are other versions too. And this one is really cool because it's called the 60-month reserve edition. So if you buy younger Gouda, it has a very sort of pale kind of yellow color. And when you buy the aged stuff is when you get these dark sort of caramelly colors. And when they age it, it changes and becomes more complex and interesting. And I mean, I'm salivating looking at this. I have some open too, which I'm gonna chip away at. But I also read that when you see all these little crystals in an aged cheese like Parmigiano or Gouda or Gouda, that's MSG crystals, and that's the flavor. So that's where you get all the umami and all the kind of great flavor and punch. And so I busted out all the weird things that people have given me over time. So I have my wire cutter, but I also have like this cute knife that says fromage on it, which I got at Posh. And I have all these little things. And I think the strategy for this 60-month reserved Gouda is to use this guy and like chip away at it and get those chunks. I always love when you go to an old Italian restaurant and they have the big wheel of parm and they just sort of gouge into it and get the big bites. So my Gouda or Gouda is gonna get that kind of treatment. So I have some big chunks to put into my cheese plate. Did I get all the facts, Mariah? Did I get it all right, I hope? So the other part of
can't
this
tell
is
if we
this
lost
kind of
Mariah.
caramelly and kind of, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, you get some kind of richer flavors. And I find that the cow's milk cheeses for me are better with red wine. So I think this little bite with our Borsau, and I can confirm it right now, they're gonna work.
I already tried it, B.
They're pretty damn good, darn good. That's really nice.
Gouda has like incredible, it's like very nutty. I know like when I make cheese boards and I use this cheese or any of the Goudas that we have, but this one in particular has such like intense, delicious flavor that and those crystals are still working. I mean, they're like, it's a taste, you know, it's a taste that really lingers in a good way.
And even though I love all the textures in cheese, like I love washed rind when it just is like so creamy and rich, and I love triple creme, and I love the Humboldt Fogs texture too. This one kind of reminds me when you get it in your mouth, there's crunch from the crystals, which is so interesting. And then there's also kind of like a fudgy character too, if it's allowable for us to describe a cheese as fudgy. This one definitely is. So I think this is a real treat, and I'm excited to keep eating it. And also to
great
try it.
Erin, have you cut yours up? Did you break yours up?
I was getting a little nervous because it's so beautiful. I don't want to mess it up, but I'm about to dive in.
I have
My
this
sister's on, and
uh,
Gouda is her favorite kind of cheese, so I just have to put this up close so
it's
everyone can see.
It looks beautiful. This is so exciting.
Amanda, how are you when I cut it?
I broke mine. Let me see if I can hold mine up. I broke mine into, by the way, it's mine and my husband Billy's 3rd anniversary. So I have this beautiful board my cousin gave me with our wedding date on it. So I'm using that today because it's special.
That's awesome.
But I'm holding my cheeses around. Sometimes I go into board making without a plan. I just kind of like pop things around. So we'll see how this comes out. But I have my Gouda right here.
And mine's just broken up into big chunks, and it's delicious and decadent and so good.
Love it. All right, I get to go with one of my favorite cheeses of all time. This is Cambozola. It is a triple creme blue cheese. So, I mean, right there, I'm already like enthralled by this cheese. I have a really fond memory of this cheese. I don't know if anyone here remembers the restaurant Sola that was open quite a while ago in Chicago.
Yeah.
So Chef Carol Wallach is a really good friend of mine. She actually lives in Hawaii right now, and I actually visited her last year. But her burger at Sola had Cambozola on it. So whenever I see this cheese, I just think of her, and it's such like a great memory. That burger was like mind-blowing. So this is going to be great on our cheese board, but this will also be really great as a melting cheese, like to add, you know, steak or on a burger. So this cheese will go a long way. It's a really, really good starter cheese for someone who maybe not has had a blue cheese because of the creaminess. And the rind of this is super cool. It's a beautiful gray color. I hope you guys can really see this color of the rind, but it is gray from the mold that, you know, actually the cheese is made from. So it has a really pretty color. I hope Mariah is ready to jump in case I mess anything up, but when we serve this on a cheese board, we'll cut it into a slice. I know our friend Biz from My Busy Kitchen's on, and she and I share a love for this cheese too. And she's hosting next week with Belinda. But this is a really great cheese. So I would put this in a wedge on the board, which I'll do now. And then I would serve it with like a spreader so people can spread it on, you know, a cracker, or when I say people, I mean me and the, you know, my family. But since we're all, you know, quarantining. But, and this will be gone like this week, by the weekend for sure. So I'm super excited about this cheese. But I know, does anyone have questions about any of the cheeses so far? Because we're really gonna let Megan get into it with the Humboldt Fog, which we're so pumped about. But
Yeah, Amanda, also, from the time that we did this before, we were instructed to kind of follow our little map, which we have if you want to follow it as you're slicing your cheeses and getting all your accoutrements. This was a part of the event invite. And I have always read and was told that you should put the cheeses down first onto your board, or I'm using like a little wood tray or onto your plate. So the cheeses sort of anchor the whole arrangement for your epic Instagrammable cheese board. And then you add in all the other accoutrement and the crackers and, you know, whatever else you want to add. So That's how I'm gonna do it, but I'm sure there are a million ways to do it. They're your anchors. Good job, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm looking for questions. What is the Gouda cheese name? It is, Mariah, what's the official name?
Articos.
Articos, and I think we sell it, it's wrapped in it. It has, I think it says, the years on it, I think.
It
But I don't know
says, this
if
says Reserve 60 months edition. So it's got a little 60-month age statement on it.
Right.
But Amanda, I think you guys have other Articos Goudas as well. You don't
do. I think this is the 5-year Gouda. I think on the wrapper it says 5 years. I was trying to do math in my head really quick. So I think the 5-year Gouda.
have the wine, so.
Cindy, we're not doing anything with the lavender and wine except enjoying them together. Belinda and I and Sarah did a class last week on floral and wine, and we happened to have lavender, and it's super cool how the notes of like some herbs really came out in wine. So we were just enjoying, that's all. It was delicious.
You know what? I might cut some of these flowers and put them in my cheese board.
I would go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed, you are right. Math and making wine boards is really hard.
Wine boards.
I swear I only had a sip or two of wine. That's it. Arctic is 60 months, yes. I know. I love we're doing wine boards next. That's like a whole new thing. I'm gonna break the internet. Forget like no knead bread. It's gonna be wine boards. I can't wait. Okay, so now we are actually nervously excited for Megan to show us how to cut the Humboldt fog. So Megan, are you ready?
You're ready. Are you guys ready? Do you all have your wires ready? And just show the massive 5-pound wheel that you all have.
This is the cheese versus my face.
It's as big as my head.
So here is a preview.
I love it. I love it so
This
much.
is what it will look like once you cut into it.
I'm almost sad to cut it. I just love it so much.
I don't even want to take the label. I love the
How
label.
will you
I'm gonna
enjoy
save
it if you don't cut it? I do save the
Well,
labels.
I thought,
I stick them on notebooks and
we
things.
didn't toy with showing the whole wheel. Well, we toyed with showing the whole wheel with Megan because, you know, this is obviously a very big piece. But what we think is cool about this is you actually could purchase this whole wheel. We'd have to check the retail, but you know, instead of a cake, like this would make a really great like cake presentation or a really cool like holiday presentation when we're allowed to have more than, you know, 10 people over, hopefully by the holidays. But it's a really cool presentation, Megan.
I've seen that. I've seen like a cheese wedding cake where they stack a bunch of different wheels of different sizes. That would be my ideal. Look at that. It's awesome, Megan.
You know, we actually do have a lot of people who buy our cheeses and stack them and create, because we have a lot of different formats of these soft ripened cheeses. So they all have that beautiful white bloomy rind. And so we have a 5-pound, and then we have another that's a 3-pound and a 1-pound. And they make this beautiful tiered cake look that people decorate with flowers, and it's just gorgeous. And it's a nice savory alternative to a dessert for a wedding. So, okay, are you guys all ready? Are you ready to cut this?
Ready.
I do want to preface for everyone else out there who is buying this in stores that Humboldt Fog will not be this whole wheel that is super intimidating and that you have to cut. But it'll be in a cute little slice like this, just ready to go. You'll recognize it by this beautiful line of vegetable ash running through the middle. It looks kind of like a slice of cake, but we're keeping really with this cake theme. Like it. Anyway,
I like
okay,
it.
I will show you here. I just have a half wheel in front of me. So are you guys, will you put this in your hands? Put the wheel in your hands, like,
So
or you can
instead of
keep it on the
pick
counter,
it up.
that works too. I think
Okay.
that is an easier method because then I can feel the wire go all the way through the bottom.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, you guys ready for this? Okay, so I'm gonna hold this vertical, this wire here, and start at the top and push straight down through the cheese You'll see what I've done here, gone through it. And then, ta-da! See it breaking apart there? Like a magic trick.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I think
You
we all
got it.
had,
You guys have got it.
we've had anxiety over, I got it.
I know there was a lot of pressure around this, but trust me, it's a lot easier than it seems.
I really want to do this.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
You did it. See? Great job.
Oh,
And for people
It's
at
so
home
beautiful.
who don't have this silly contraption, you don't have to worry about that. You can also very nicely get through this with something like a fish filleting knife. So something that's really narrow, skinny, that won't cause a lot of drag as you're pushing through the cheese, so that it will keep that beautiful cake-like appearance as you slice it.
Biz, do you see that?
Great job, everyone.
Oh,
Yeah.
We keep
And I
going
encourage
with
everybody. What's that?
just keep going with it to like slice the wedges.
Yeah. So I encourage everybody also to be tasting as we're having the trials of slicing this right now, and kind of picking up this great like bright tang, this buttermilky flavor. Hopefully you all have a nice slice from Mariano's that has this really beautiful cream line that's developed here. That's the ripening of the cheese, and it's a really beautiful, like creamy texture going on there. And then as I was mentioning when I was cutting this line that runs through the middle here, a lot of people think that maybe this is a blue cheese. And it would be totally normal to think that, because it does have this beautiful grayish blue color, but it's actually a line of vegetable ash. Traditionally, that's been used in French goat cheese making. And it's something that actually we pioneered here in the US. So not myself, but our founder, Mary Keene, back in the 80s, in 1983, she started our company, and she really kind of was a catalyst in the American cheese movement, and really, I don't know, helped to transition our ideas of cheese from a square individually wrapped piece of Kraft singles, not to dog Kraft by any means, but to something a little higher, a little more special. And yeah. Are you guys all tasting?
Megan, is there
enjoying?
a term for like? Megan, is there a term for when you get kind of a riper piece? Because I love that bit between the rind. Is there a term for when you get kind of a riper piece of Humboldt fog, like that creamy bit that's closest to the rind that you don't always get?
Yeah, so we call it the cream line. The cream line, yeah. Are you guys hearing that? Sorry, this is all getting cut out and pixelated.
Uh-oh.
Cream line, yes?
I can hear you.
Yeah?
Also, Megan, someone wants to know if you can eat that rind. Can you eat the rind on this cheese?
You can eat the rind on the cheese, yes. It is a natural rind. It's really just a matter of preference. So take a little nibble of it, see if you like it. If you don't feel like you have to. No one's going to shun you. But it's absolutely edible,
right,
and can be quite delicious.
Katie wants to know, should the cheese be straight out of the fridge when you cut it, or better if it warms up? So we actually were instructed by Mariah to take the cheeses out an hour before the class. And I will say that it just, it was easier to cut the Humboldt fog.
She's actually right.
I think we're having some
In general,
internet issues
cheeses
with
are
Mariah.
a little easier to cut at a warmer temp.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, they all cut really nicely, and they were out of my fridge at least for an hour before the class today. So that was good.
I wanted to add one thing about a rind. So something I learned once in a different cheese class is that when a cheese is aging, the rind is on the exterior of the cheese. And so if you eat the rind, or at least try the rind, it kind of transports you to the place where the cheese was made. So if the cheese was made in a cave, the exterior of the cheese is what was actually touching the elements in the cave, and that's what gives it the flavor. So even just having one bite of it or smelling it or having kind of a taste can tell you a little bit about where the cheese came from.
That's a good tip, Erin. I love it.
Thanks.
All right, so now that we have our cheeses in place, we're gonna actually move to the next wine that Belinda selected for us tonight, the Cambria. And then in the meantime, we're gonna start putting up our boards together. And then Erin's gonna talk to us about some of our local favorites. But Belinda, let's talk about the Chardonnay.
So Amanda and I both share a love for Chardonnay, and we've done a couple different styles as we've been together on Wine Wednesdays and also during our friendship. This one's from a big producer called Cambria, which I believe is owned by Kendall Jackson. What's unusual about it is, you know, a lot of people love to drink Chardonnay from Napa Valley and Sonoma. And as I said, this one is from further down south in Santa Maria. And so it's a little riper in some ways because it's generally kind of a warmer place. And we finally have kind of a more buttery, oaky, full-on style, which I think it's really interesting because these are the kinds of Chardonnays that I really love with cheese. And I just snuck a little bite of the Humboldt Fog and had a sip of the Cambria, and I love them together. When you get a really great food and wine pairing, all of a sudden, you know, 1 + 1 isn't 2 anymore. 1 + 1 can be 3 or 5 or even better. So this particular Chardonnay, as I said, is kind of a buttery, toasty, oaky style. Not over the top or unbalanced, but it definitely undergoes some aging in oak barrels. So as we've talked about before, if you age the juice or the wine in an oak barrel, you get some of these kind of brown spices or aromas of toast or patisserie, all those beautiful things that you'll smell in a great bakery when we can go back to those, or in a great place where they're baking bread. And then this is also kind of a slightly buttery or textured style. And the way they do that, it's chemistry, friends, is by letting the wine undergo something called malolactic fermentation. So a young wine, before it's undergone this ML situation, has a lot of acidity and is really bright and doesn't have a, you know, buttery rich texture, but after it undergoes malolactic, you get a little more texture and what we call glycerin, and you get kind of like a sexy buttery situation, even though there's no actual butter in the wine. And this is a style of wine that I really like with cheeses like the Humboldt Fog. You know, the cheese has a little more brightness and higher tones, and then we get a wine that's got a little more richness to sort of give it a hug. I don't know, I must be missing all my friends because I keep hugs today, and I guess I'm getting all of my hugs from the wine and from the cheese, which is okay, I think, for now. So this is a richer style of white wine. Okay. So this is a richer, fuller bodied style of white wine. So as you kind of look at it in the glass, you see that rich golden color. As you give it a swirl, you see slow legs and tears going down the side of the glass because it does have a bit of alcohol and texture. And as you put your nose in it, you get these sort of richer, riper aromas and flavors. And as you taste it, it kind of coats your tongue and is sort of like a wonderful treat. So when you're doing white wine with cheese, which I actually, in many cases, prefer, I like to do kind of a richer, fuller bodied style. If you were in France and you were in like the Loire Valley and having a goat cheese salad, which is sort of a classic thing, that, you know, the salad with the little slice of goat cheese with the frise, the curly lettuces, they would generally pour like a Sancerre, which is from Sauvignon Blanc, or a Puy Fumé to go along with that. But I like those kinds of dishes and those cheeses with a white wine that's a little richer. So, you know, next time someone says like, oh, we can only have red wine with that cheese, you can be like, no, that's not how that works. White wine with cheese is fantastic too. I mean, I've spent time in Burgundy in France, and you get these big giant cheese carts and everyone's drinking white Burgundies, Chardonnays with all those delicious French cheeses. So I think it's really kind of the elegant way to end the meal. And who's to say that after drinking a lot of red wine, you can't go back to white? Me, I'm saying that. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that strategy. So I would definitely recommend trying a buttery, toasty, oaky, kind of fuller bodied style of Chardonnay with a lot of the cheeses that you'll put together onto your cheese boards. And then you can text me or DM me on Instagram and tell me I was right. Right, Amanda?
I always do what Belinda says. So everything she's recommended has been a winner. Everything she's picked has paired perfectly with what we're doing. So I'm on the Belinda program.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I think the other interesting thing with this sort of cheese and wine pairing thing is you'll definitely be rewarded by opening different things. So I know at Mariano's, I'm always so happy to see they don't just have, you know, full regular size bottles, 750s, but there's also a good selection of 375s, little half bottles, and also 187s, especially the sparkling wines. So, I mean, frankly, I think it's a little boring to only have one glass in your hand. I mean, 2 is a minimum for me.
Right.
As long as you're not driving and you're over 21, I think it's a good strategy, but it's always a lot of fun. The other thing that we're not tasting today, but I certainly recommend with a cheese plate, and hopefully Megan will agree, people love to do dessert style wines. So port and sherry and Madeira, or even, you know, some of those sweet whites like Sauterne or something like Farniente Dolce. They have a lot of fun sweet wines in Mariano's too, and those tend to be a really nice way to finish the meal with cheese. But I don't know, like my dinner is cheese today, so.
Yeah.
So we're not
Today,
gonna
probably several days.
mm-hmm.
Someone had to go, it's so funny. Michelle just asked if a certain type of glass is better than another. And we do talk about glass for a lot, Belinda.
That's really great. So I used 2 different styles of glass today. The only glass that is not my favorite, which I know a lot of people love them, and some restaurateurs that I really love them, is the stemless glass. So the stemless glass, while it's very low profile and doesn't break as easily, you know, you have your hands all over it. So you're heating the wine as you're drinking it. And I don't love a fingerprint on a stemless glass either. So I love a glass with a stem. And then this is what we would call in the business an AP glass, or an all-purpose glass. So it's got a stem, it's got a bowl. The bowl is kind of a shape that makes just about everything taste good. And I also used this glass, which is a Riedel glass from Austria, the great family that's 11 generations. So this is a little bigger for my red wine, because that red wine needs a little air, right? Like you see that we're always swirling it. Was this not just kind of like a little wine snobby trick, but it actually is adding air into the wine, and it helps the wine sort of open up a little bit. A lot of these wines, this Curaçao that I have, has been stuck in this bottle since 2018 for a whole 2 years, and adding air, oxygen to the wine helps sort of all the molecules unfurl a little bit. If you've ever been out to dinner or having dinner at home with a nice bottle of red, you might have noticed that like the 10th sip or the last sip before it's almost gone is the most delicious sip. And often that's because the wine just needed some air to really kind of open up and unfurl and become its best self. We also need some air, right, to become our best selves. So. Oxygen works for wine. It also works for us. I need an oxygen facial, I think. But so the glass choice definitely makes a difference. So if you're going to have one set of glasses, I like an all-purpose shape, something like this. If you like to drink kind of big reds and you want to do everything to make them as delicious as possible, a slightly bigger glass is going to help it unfurl a little bit. Hope that helps.
No, that's perfect. Okay, so I think now that we've tasted both wines, which are amazing and do go really well with the cheeses and all of the accoutrements, we're going to finish up the boards now, our boards, and if anyone else is making along, we'd love to see. But Erin, I'll let you kind of get into some of the salumi that we have in here, and we want to do a sound check for Mariah. Mariah, are you back? She and I have been texting.
Because Mariah is a genius. She knows more about cheese than anyone.
I know. This has been like, well, we'll get her back. We'll get her. But Erin, why don't you go ahead with the salami?
Sure. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple different salamis that I really, really love. from Mariano's. They're all local companies. So the first here is Tempesta. I'll open these up in a second. You guys have probably heard of this or seen it at Mariano's. It's made right here in Chicago. And they also have 2 restaurants. So there's one in West Town that's still open right now for pickup. And then they also have a location in the Loop that's temporarily closed. It's in a food hall. But these are awesome. They have like probably 4 or 5 different types. And if you're looking for them at Mariano's, they're in the cheese rooms. So if you go in there, if you can't find them, just ask, but there's usually like little baskets of them. And I pretty much just like to grab one of each kind every time I go to the store because I think they're awesome. But I'll cut into these in a second, but these are the first ones. And then another one I wanted to share is this Red Bear brand. These are also made in Illinois. These are awesome. They also have a few different types. This one is a chorizo dry salami. Amanda looks like she has.
I have the beef dry salami, but I also got, you know what, we love these guys.
The sticks. Yeah.
I do like to cut them up and put them on a cheese board. We ate these, but these are really good.
I know. My rule was I couldn't open anything before the class because I was worried everything would have bite marks in it. So I had to wait. But both of these are awesome. At my Mariano's down the street in Lakeview, these are actually just outside the cheese room if you're looking for them, whereas these are inside. I'm not sure how that is from store to store.
They're all in the specialty cheese department. So
Okay.
You'll find all of these products. Right? Mariah's back. I see her. Hi, Mariah.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yay! We're so happy.
Yay.
So Red Bear and Tempesta you can find in the specialty cheese departments at all stores. Sometimes you have the Red Bear on top of the olive bars.
Yeah, it's on top of the olive bars or sometimes on the cheese cases. The stores are all shaped a little differently, but it is always a part of our mix within the department.
Yeah.
I saw someone ask a question for a non-pork recommendation, and I think that's actually something that was hard for us to source. And Red Bear is a really great company that actually offers that. Holy cow, they're one of the only ones that we could find with really delicious smoked beef salami.
And that's the one Amanda had, right? The beef?
I think so, yeah. Super cool that,
That one. I'll have to look into that next time.
yeah, it's delicious. If you look at the artwork on the labels too, it's really nice. It's like, they're made in Mundelein, but the owner's young, like teenage daughter actually designed all of the artwork for their labels. So it's really cute. Like the cow one has cow prints and everything. So
Yeah.
But these are really, yeah, and the wrapper says holy cow. It's really cute.
That's really cool. I had no idea about that one.
All right, we talked about the salami. So, I mean, I guess there really isn't, I think we all like variety, like I mentioned earlier, and I think sometimes it's fun to kind of clean out your fridge. I mean, we definitely have prosciutto d'Italia as well, which I didn't actually pull out because we have these salamis. But you really, to get a good mix of meat and cheeses is really the kind of goal that you're going for. And then there's lots of crackers. Mariah, talk about the crackers that we have. We love Colleen's. They're like amazing.
Colleen's is the best.
So I'm actually cooking with a pretty stay-at-home friendly cupboard. So I don't have any Colleen's because we've eaten them all over here, but those are really awesome rustic handmade breadsticks. And they actually use Maldon sea salt, which is a really great French sea salt for all of the crunchy flakes that you'll see on there. It's just super delicious. And then there's lots of other crackers. I have some Simple Truth organic, more kid-friendly variety. So I'm gonna put those on the board.
I always love these because I know we sell a lot of the Valley Lavash crackers, especially the hearts.
Yeah, the heart's really nice. I think it's nice to have like a mix of something more simple like the heart cracker or a water cracker, and then something like a rain coast or other fruit and nut crisp for some variety.
My board is really, really full. I can't wait to show everybody when I get it finished. Oh, what?
Let's see it.
Oh my gosh, it's still not quite finished because we still have to add the nuts. Mariah, do you want to talk about the treat nuts?
Sure, yeah. So we have some really delicious nuts as part of the specialty cheese department. Marcona almonds are available, some other nuts from Spain, but what everybody has today are treat nuts from Madison, Wisconsin. Amanda, I don't have them in the house right now.
I do.
Yeah, hold on. So Yeah, utterly delicious. Spiced pecans, spiced almonds, made locally. It's a great family-owned company. They also supplied us with one of the jams that we have tonight, quince and apple. So yeah, it's a great business. Matt and his wife are in Madison, Wisconsin. All natural, artisan, small batch products.
This is this jam is delicious. It's raspberry rose. I think it really goes well with lots of different cheeses. And what Sarah and I have learned in these meetups, if you take our Thursday classes, a lot of mixologists use jams and sour cocktails and different kinds of cocktails. So this would actually be a very, besides having it on toast or your morning scone and on this cheese board, you also can mix it in cocktails. If you want the recipes, we can send them to you.
Send me, please.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Oh my gosh, Erin, always. All right, so Mariah, we got pretty much, I added olives to mine.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind. I'm using one of our oval boards for Mariano's, but so cutting that salami chub that we all have, kind of same concept, talking with how you cut cheeses. I like the chub because it gives us these nice thick little rustic cuts, a little bit thicker, more toothsome. And then I also have some pre-sliced salami that's a little bit thinner. That's nice to kind of make those salami rivers, as they call them in the cheese board Instagram world.
Wait, what is a salami river?
Well, I'm not quite there yet, but there's definitely a trend on some of the cheese board influencers where you intricately fold your salami and then kind of, that's one of the last things that's nice to place on your board, because when you have those kind of empty spots, you can just like fit little rivers of salami into the nooks and crannies just to completely fill the board.
It's like really thin slices, right? And they're kind of folded on each other, so it's like higher texture to it, and then people kind of weave them through. Like it gives it
So you make like a rose out of the slice.
Yeah.
So
you can take your slices, fold it in half, and then in half again, so you get this cute little rose shape.
I love that.
And then shingle those together.
so chic.
All right, we're getting some good questions. So Ed wants to know if Belinda will help him buy new stemware. So I'm sure Belinda will say yes to that.
Yes, Ed, I'm delighted. We can have a one-on-one 30-minute virtual stemware consultation.
Bailey also loves Tempesta. It is a good, delicious product, so we do too. Misha told Erin that she's speaking her language because she loves sopressata picante.
I'll save you some.
Oh, and Cindy mentioned that she loves my green olive dish. I'm assuming it was mine. And my mom is on the Zoom, but this was her coupe. I have a set of like a bunch of them from the 60s. 1968, I believe, is what she told me is what they're from. So, wait, how's my board looking, you guys?
Oh,
Let's see.
You can't really tilt it because it'll fall over, but when you look down on it, it's like beautiful. The colors are really pretty because I have the dark red grapes. It's very like moody. I like it.
It's beautiful. I love your elevation too. The height is really good.
Well, that's thanks to Roro because she gave me her glasses.
Way to go, Roro. Oh, look at Megan's. Megan's is beautiful.
Oh, Megan, that looks beautiful.
I think the fun thing too is you can make a cheese board out of anything. It doesn't have to be a board. It can be a plate. I used a tray.
Linda, that looks awesome. I love you have the dried fruit.
And I used Mariano's roses as well. From Mother's Day.
Well, first off, from last week, my lilies are dead, and so are all the roses.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I have left is the lavender, and I almost killed the gardenia, but I brought it back to life.
Yeah. Bailey, have you had dinner yet? I'm going to drop this off.
Please do.
This is for you.
All right. Yeah, Julia. Let's see Julia's. Julia made one. We're going to spotlight some other people's boards.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Julia, that looks amazing. My mom says everyone's boards look great. I think my friends, Christopher and Jen are on. Did they make
Okay, so I want you to notice the very posh cheese stick for the kids.
That's awesome.
That looks great. I actually would be interested in that cheese stick. It looks delicious.
I know. The cheese stick looks so good.
Colby Jack, I think it's extra aged.
That looks great. How are you, Julia? How are you and your family doing? You hanging in there?
We're good. Thank you. Stuff like this is fun to break up the monotony.
All right, go away. I see a cracker disappearing. Is that a graham
Oh,
cracker?
yes. Kids making cameos.
I have to hide, the kids love s'mores, and I have to hide the graham crackers because I will literally eat a whole box at once. Like
Yes, totally.
I love them. It's so good.
Cheeseboard art is so much fun. I just love it.
I know, and it's nice. Like we all, are using the same sorts of things, and it's cool that we all come up with different presentations. So it'll be cool once we all like post our pictures and everything. I'm looking for my friends Jen and Christopher. I think they're not on anymore, but I know they were going to make it. So we'll have them post a pic. But I feel like we're all kind of wrapping up, but we want to see Erin's. We want to see Belinda's again. I want to show.
Getting a little further.
The jam smells, Mariah, that raspberry rose jam smells so delicious.
It smells so delicious.
It's really nice and it's really fun. Like it plays well with a lot of different flavors. It'll be great and really fun with the Humboldt Fog for sure.
But Mariah, the fun thing is like in the stores, you guys have those really good looking, I love those oval little plates that you guys make the pre-packed cheese.
Yeah. So if you don't feel like making your own cheese board, we do always have our own
I love those.
pre-made. Yeah, so that's actually what I was using today, was one of the nice oval boards. And they do sell these ready-made if you feel like popping a cork and not worrying about anything else. That's always an option.
So great. So much fun.
Super fun.
All right, so I think
Really close. Sorry, I got distracted talking about the products. I'm almost there.
no, you're fine. Take your time.
I'll show you what I have so
Siobhan,
far, but I have a big
picture.
gap in the middle.
Oh my gosh! Wait, Siobhan, you're a COVID nurse.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Right? Can I put you on spotlight? Is that okay? We want to know more.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Hey
How
guys.
are you? How are you doing? How are you hanging in there?
I'm hanging in there. I work for North Shore, which is our COVID hospital's Glenbrook, if you guys are familiar in Glenbrook.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good. Just, drinking wine every day that I'm off. And
Good girl.
ate my whole cheese board before this all started.
You sent us a picture, so we'll. I tried to open it. I couldn't open it, but we'll get it. We'll get there.
Sweet. Yeah, but thank you guys for staying home. And this is so sweet of you guys to like host this class.
Oh, well, we're happy we could be here for you. You're doing so much good. We're happy that we could be here as a little distraction. Yeah, actually, Monday this week, I went to the North Shore in Evanston. We donated cupcakes to the COVID nurse floor. So I'd love your information, so maybe we can organize a little treat for you. So maybe you can send it to.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for all the work you're doing.
Thank you guys.
And also, thanks for making sure that I don't drink by myself. I appreciate that.
All right.
Oh, Amanda, I think you're frozen or muted. I think you broke the internet.
I muted myself. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I muted myself. Yeah, but we all miss seeing each other in person. That's for sure. Actually, a year ago, Megan and Cypress Grove was here, and we did cheese board classes in the stores for Mariano's. But they did a 100-person cheese board class at Pacific Standard Time. That was crazy.
That was so much fun. I cannot wait for these kind of events to happen again. I miss the connection in person. This is fantastic, and I'm so glad that you guys are doing this, but I really miss seeing everybody in real life.
Right, Erin, everyone wants to see your cheese board, especially Cindy. So how are you doing?
I'm pretty much there. I have one little gap. I like mine to be overflowing.
Yes, you do like a boat. So Erin actually did for us, I forget what it was a few months ago, a fry board, a French fry board. And
I did.
it really broke the internet. She did it, it got all these likes, it got retweeted, it was put on like radio stations, news stations, it was on magazine.
It still gets retweeted. It was like 3 months ago and or regrammed, sorry, and I get tagged by like these massive multi-million food follower accounts like on a daily basis. If you go through my tagged photos, this board is just gone, and I didn't even create it. I was not the original French fry board, but I don't know, people just really like it.
It was crazy. So I think everyone's really excited about hearing about a French fry board. Albert, I know Erin has the list of all the items she used from Mariano's on there and all these cool local sauces.
Yeah.
So now we can serve the French fry board with a wine board and a cheese board.
Yes.
And if you want, Amanda, I did write a blog post and it links all the Mariano's products.
Yeah.
So I think I did send you the link to that, but if you ever want to send it to people, like it's there. So
maybe Sarah can include it in the recap email that she sends everyone, because I think that's a fun thing to have for sure.
I love it.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to
recipes. So yeah, you can use the jam for your boards, but you can make drinks with it and other things. So yeah, Bailey, it does sound like the best party ever. We're gonna figure it out. Wine board, cheese board, French fry board.
Okay, I'm gonna show you guys. I'm trying to figure out how.
Wow.
Very nice.
My board. Sorry, it's a mess around it. So the board is beautiful, but the countertop is a disaster.
It looks perfect, Erin. It looks great.
Thank you.
Belinda's clapping with approval.
Really cute.
So I included a couple extra things. I always like to put fruit on my boards because I think like just a little pop of color, and I use strawberries a lot because I think like the brightness of the fruit is good with a lot of cheeses and meats, and then like you just need like 5 of them and it makes the whole board look different. So I really like those. And then I also did put one other local product, which is this Field and Farmer garlic chive hummus, which kind of goes, but I just really like it. But this is a really cool brand that Amanda actually introduced me to, which is also a local brand at Mariano's, and they have really cool dips, sauces, things like that.
I know, it's actually, I miss the days when we used to have fun shopping together. Belinda and I used to do it. Mariah, me and Sarah do it. You and I mean, busy. It's like so much fun to be in the stores too. My mom and I, that was like our fun weekend activity, was like going to the store to find things. So
yeah,
we'll get back there soon.
We need like 1 a.m. shopping hours, and we can be like one aisle apart and yell over. Just for the people on the chat. So
we should see if we can do that. Yeah, Sarah told Shaban it's Field and Farmer. So
it's Field and Farmer at Mariano's. It's in like a cooler section, and they have like, it's with all the like guacamole and salsas and things like that. And the branding looks like this. Like,
yeah, they are awesome. They're really delicious. My husband just came to check my work to make sure the board looked okay. I think he smiled when he saw it. So.
Well done, Amanda.
All right. So does anyone have any other questions? I know we're there for you in your time of need with cheese. Mariah's department's also really great at the stores, and she has great cheese made, like she mentioned, dips. I know Belinda and I had like the Jarlsberg dip out a few weeks ago for snacks. There's so many great things. And we're excited to be able to do these classes for everyone where we all can get together. But I don't think there's been any more questions, but you know how to reach Sarah and I for anything else. And we want to thank Belinda, as usual, for the Wine Wednesday. And Erin from 312 Food is our special guest. We're super excited. And Megan, thanks for participating. I know we put you on the spot, but we were all scared with the big wheel, but now we know we're fine. Thank you. And Mariah, thank you for being here to help answer all the questions and talk about the products. We're excited. Next week, Wine Wednesday, My Busy Kitchen's actually on the line, and she's going to be
Where is she?
She's here. Hold on.
We need a preview.
Busy. Can we spotlight you?
Hi.
Yeah. Hold on.
Can you see me? Let me turn on the light.
Yeah, we can see you.
We like the dark. Oh, there you go.
Well, it was light when I started.
We love My Busy Kitchen. She's always finding cool stuff at Mariano's. What I actually love the most about Busy, I mean, besides that she's so fun and awesome to be around, is like she really shops our circular really well. And I always like have to ask her for tips on how to be a better, more frugal shopper.
Better shopper and not spend so much money.
You do a really good job. I mean, it's so impressive finding the sales, like stocking up on the right items. And not only that, but then coming up with these amazing recipes that like, how did she even think of that? And we've made a bunch of them at home already. Your mac and cheese. A lot of them are Weight Watcher friendly, which we really like. So we're excited for next week with you. We're doing ceviche.
So excited. Yep. And it's super Weight Watcher friendly. I think it's like one smart point for the whole thing.
Wow.
Well, we're in, and Belinda's going to pair it with some wine. And Belinda, we do have to make a sangria out of one of them, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
done.
and I think that's why, so we can balance, #balance. We'll have more sangria so we can have low calorie ceviche.
Have 1 point. Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Tomorrow we have Jameson doing Jameson cold brew cocktails, and we're making that famous coffee, Sarah, the Dalgona. Is that how you say it? Dragona? I never say it the right way. The coffee that broke the internet. We're having that tomorrow, so we're really excited. And then we have a full schedule of events through the month and some into June. So hopefully we'll still see all of your friendly faces, especially Deb. She's always smiling over there. I see her laughing now. She's laughing. She's great.
Love you, Deb. Yay.
Awesome. And everyone else who's participating. We'll see you tomorrow or next week, but you don't want to miss next week, Wine Wednesday for sure. So thank you, everybody. Bye. Stay safe. Stay home.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.